See, there's many of y'all that are loaded with purpose. All of y'all, truth be told, sitting on gold mines because it came from God. It's so valuable. Because you don't see it, you lack the faith to believe that you have it. But faith is not seeing something, it's believing something. And it's time that you start believing that God has put something within you that only you can do. He's put it in you, not for it to remain there, but for it to flow through you. Just as he did with Esther. See, in the book of Esther, we know she was an orphan. We know she was a Jew. We know the Jews came out of exile. We know they were least likely. We know this. We know she never met her mother. She never met her father. Her older cousin Mordecai, he took her in as his own and he raised her. It does not mention a mother figure in her life. So she had to grow up without that. And then it came a time where Esther had to shift from the things she knew and the home that she was currently residing in to a place that she did not know for a position that she did not sign up for, which was to potentially become queen and marry the king. When that time came for the shift, Esther's identity had to shift as well. She could not reveal who she was. Her name alone went from Hadassah to Esther, which the name Esther means hidden. So when she went into the palace, she couldn't reveal that she was a Jew. She couldn't reveal her roots, her background, where she came from. She just had to fall in line and be prepped for another position involuntarily. Now, she did go along with the process. She never bucked against it. And we know later on down through the story, it came a time where one of the leaders of the king came in agreement. The king came in agreement with him, and a decree was issued that the Jews could be killed at random, which was her people. But they didn't know that it was her people because all this time she concealed who she was. The king married her. She became queen. But when the time came, she had to shift once again into purpose. Mordecai begins to tell her that you have to go when the king meets in the courts. You have to go before him and get that decree that has been written to kill the Jews overthrown, which you only could come into those courts if you had been petitioned, if you had been summoned to come in, lest you could be killed. The only way you were not killed is that the king extended his sword to you. But it was very crucial that you had been petitioned to come. So it's safe to say her life was on the line. So he tells her what she has to do in order to save her people. And we know this. We never mentioned the word God, or the idea was not mentioned. But we do, and we can agree that we see the hand of God. We see the provision of God, the providence of God, the glory of God, all through the pages in the book of Esther. We see the guidance. So Esther says to Mordecai, once he says, maybe you've came to the palace for such a time as this. And that is for a purpose. That's all he was indicating, that was for a purpose. And her response was powerful in that moment. She agreed to go, and she says this: if I perish, I perish. And there are many of y'all today that God is calling you to step out, to take up your cross and to follow him and to believe in the thing that is within you, to step out in that thing, to allow the gift to flow for you, to allow the gift, just like it did for Esther, to make room for you. Because it's going to do what it's supposed to do. You just have to release it so that it can do it. Now, God is such a father that he has not given up on any of us yet. He has not gave up on us. But he's calling us to step into the thing that he has put within us. Fear can't hold you. The lack of faith, insecurities, trauma, none of that can hold you. Once you decide that you're going to step out. Because when you step out, you not only step out into purpose, you step out into the identity that's attached to the purpose. Because the identity is already there. Because in Jeremiah it says that before I formed you, I knew you. And then it goes on to say what God did. And then he placed you for purpose. We are in a dark time in the world. A very dark time in the world. And that is when the light is needed the most. See, it's daylight. I can cut this light on and it really would make much of a difference. But when nighttime comes and I cut the light on, it makes the difference. And that's where we are in the world. You got to start looking at this thing spiritual. You can't believe the lies of the enemy. There is something with you, in you. With you is God. In you is God. So when you step out, you're not stepping out by yourself. And you have to know that. And you have to get a made up mind that you're going to step out. Being uncomfortable is part of the process. If you're uncomfortable, if you're nervous, if you don't know what's happening or going to happen when you step out, that is all a part of the process. That is considered growth, and it's normal. What is not normal is to continue year after year when God is beckoning you to come forth, beckoning you to shift into purpose, to leave the familiar and step into the unknown, such as Esther had to do. Even when it means concealing who she really was to fulfill a purpose that only she could do, the appointed time came. Your appointed time is now for you to shift and do what God is calling you to do, because he's depending on you to do it. He didn't place it there for no reason. You make a deposit in the bank. When you go to the bank, you depend on them saying, or not really depend on, you know they can't deny you because you know that the deposit is there. If you made a deposit in the bank and you went there and you said, okay, I want to withdraw $1,000, and you know you deposited $10,000 yesterday, they can't say, yo, your account is insufficient. When you know that you just made a deposit, you're going to sit around at that bank and make them figure out, where did my money go? And it really don't matter where it went. The most important thing is y'all need to come up with it, because I know that I placed it here. Same way with God. He's placed something in you that's more valuable than money, because there's people attached to that. Just like Esther, there was a people attached to her purpose that if she did not step out and step up and take a risk, that those people would have perished. But she stepped out and saved her people. So you got to make up your mind. and get it in your spirit. If you're going to go and walk with God and keep walking with God, you can't keep pretending. You can't keep not acknowledging the fact that God is wanting you to come from where you are and step into where he's called you to. And we can't say we don't know what our purpose is, or because that might be true, but that does not stop us, because he's a rewarder to those that diligently seek him. So if you came after him for your purpose, if you came after him for him to properly position you, there is no way that God would ignore that when he placed it there to use it. The ball is in your court. You just got to know that and take the shot. Because you already won. It's about walking this thing out as a winner.